There comes a moment in every thinking man's life when he must confront himself with a question so raw, so piercing, that it strips away all excuses and all comforting illusions. That question is this: am I truly the master of my mind, or am I its slave? For upon the answer rests the fate of your destiny, the measure of your power, and the shape of your future. Most men walk through life in bondage. They believe themselves free because they can choose what to eat, where to work, what clothes to wear, or what distractions to consume. But their inner world tells another story. Their moods rise and fall not by conscious decision but by circumstance. Their peace depends on how others treat them. Their confidence is shattered by criticism. Their courage evaporates at the first sign of rejection. Their direction shifts with the winds of opinion. And so they are puppets, not pioneers governed by invisible strings tied to emotion, fear, and desire. But there exists another path, a path walked only by the few who dared to look within and declare, "I will no longer surrender my mind to the accidents of the world. I will govern it with discipline, I will detach from that which does not serve me, and I will stand as sovereign over my inner kingdom." These men do not react, they respond. They do not seek approval, they grant it to themselves. They do not collapse before adversity. They transmute adversity into the very stone upon which they climb. And it is to this path that I now invite you. The transformation of a man from ordinary to extraordinary begins with the mastery of emotional detachment, proceeds through the discipline of thought, and culminates in the absolute command of his inner world. Only then does he gain that rarest of powers, the ability to bend circumstance to his will. For life itself is nothing more than a mirror of the state of mind. If the mind is scattered, life is scattered. If the mind is disciplined, life is ordered. If the mind is enslaved by feeling, life is unstable. But if the mind is sovereign, life bows before it. This lecture, which I deliver to you not as idle theory, but as a blueprint tested by centuries of human triumph, will unveil 23 actions, each one a principle, each one a weapon, each one a law that, if grasped and practiced with burning intensity, will forge you into the best version of yourself, not a weak echo of potential, but a living demonstration of power. Action 1. Declare definiteness of purpose. The first step toward becoming the best version of yourself is to define with absolute clarity the purpose of your existence. Drift is the disease of mediocrity, and purpose is its cure. Most men wander like ships without rudders, tossed by waves of circumstance, never setting a fixed course. They wonder why they feel powerless. But the truth is simple. Power belongs only to the man who knows where he is going. Definiteness of purpose is more than a goal. It is the North Star of your mind. It dictates what you allow into your life and what you expel. It gives shape to your habits, your thoughts, your associations. Without it, every small distraction pulls you off course. With it, even storms become servants of your voyage. Say to yourself, "This is my mission. This is what my life will stand for. This is the destiny I will create, and nothing beneath the heavens will deter me from it." And when you declare it, you must engrave it into your mind with such fire that no criticism, no delay, no obstacle can erase it. For definiteness is the birthplace of inner power. Action 2. Master emotional detachment. Emotional detachment is not the absence of feeling. It is the mastery of feeling. To detach is to govern. The man who cannot detach from insult will forever be ruled by the tongues of fools. The man who cannot detach from praise will forever be enslaved by the applause of the crowd. The man who cannot detach from fear will never walk the path of greatness. Understand this truth. Emotions are signals, not masters. They whisper what the body desires, what the heart fears, what the ego craves. But only reason, guided by purpose, has the right to command action. If you permit emotion to seize the throne of decision, you abdicate your sovereignty. Therefore, train yourself in the art of the pause. When insulted, pause. When tempted, pause. When anxious, pause. In that pause lies your freedom, for it is the space where thought chooses response instead of reaction. The dog barks instinctively. The sovereign man responds deliberately. Detachment is the discipline that separates the beast from the builder of empires. Action 3. Build the fortress of mental discipline. If detachment is the shield, discipline is the sword. Without discipline, dreams decay into fantasies and potential rots into regret. Discipline is doing what must be done whether you feel like it or not. It is the subordination of moods to mission, of impulses to intellect, of comfort to conquest. Ask yourself, who commands my actions, the whim of the moment or the will of my purpose? If it is whim, you are enslaved. If it is will, you are free. Discipline begins with small victories. Rise at the hour you set. Speak the words you resolve to speak. Complete the task you promised yourself. Each victory is a brick laid in the fortress of your character. And soon, when storms strike, you will stand unshaken, because discipline has made you immovable. Remember this maxim: a man who has conquered himself can never again be conquered by another. Action 4. Command the law of autosuggestion. Every thought repeated with conviction engraves itself upon the subconscious mind, and the subconscious mind, in turn, directs the currents of action and circumstance. This is no superstition. It is a law as certain as gravity. You are today the sum of yesterday's repeated thoughts. Your successes and failures alike are the offspring of what you allowed to be whispered in your inner chamber. Therefore, if you would become the best version of yourself, you must seize control of autosuggestion. Refuse to permit idle, fearful, or doubtful words to echo in your mind, for each repetition plants a seed that will one day grow into chains. Instead, plant words of power, words of mastery, words aligned with your definiteness of purpose. Speak them when you rise. Speak them when you falter. Speak them when the world mocks you. Speak them until your subconscious, that tireless servant, knows no reality except the one you declare. Say to yourself, I am calm under pressure. I am the commander of my emotions. I am disciplined in thought and action. I am advancing daily toward my great purpose. Do not say it once. Say it until your very being vibrates with its truth. For what the conscious mind affirms with intensity, the subconscious accepts without question, and the outer world bends to obey. Action 5. Develop the habit of accurate thinking. There is no greater enemy to self-mastery than distorted thought. Men fail not because reality defeats them, but because illusions mislead them. They confuse opinion for fact, emotion for evidence, rumor for reality. And in so doing, they steer their lives by phantoms. Accurate thinking is the ability to distinguish between what is true and what merely feels true. It is the discipline of testing every assumption against logic, evidence, and purpose. It is asking, is this fact or is it someone's interpretation? Is this conclusion my own or is it borrowed from another mind? Is this fear grounded in reality or is it only the echo of imagination? Without accurate thinking, emotional detachment is impossible, for the mind will always be ensnared by shadows. But with it, you cut through illusion, like a sword through mist. You see men for what they are, not for what they pretend. You see opportunities where others see obstacles. You see your path with clarity while the crowd stumbles in confusion. Guard your mind, therefore, against the poison of careless words, unchecked news, and the untested opinions of others. Build instead the habit of examining every idea with the scalpel of reason. For accurate thinking is the bedrock upon which empires of both wealth and character are built. Action 6. Harness the power of response over reaction. Here lies one of the clearest dividing lines between the ordinary and the great. The ordinary man reacts, the great man responds. Reaction is slavery. Response is sovereignty. Reaction is the product of programming. A word of insult triggers anger. A delay triggers impatience. A loss triggers despair. The chain is automatic. Stimulus, reaction, regret. But response is born of mastery. It is the moment when the mind says, though this insult has reached my ears, I will not give it the dignity of control. Though this adversity has entered my path, I will choose its meaning. Though this fear has visited me, I will transform it into fuel. Consider this. Every empire, every invention, every revolution of history was made by men who responded to hardship with creation instead of collapse. The masses react with complaint, but the sovereign few respond with initiative. And it is always the responder, not the reactor, who writes history. Therefore, engrave this upon your mind. Between what happens to me and what I choose, there lies infinite space. In that space is my power. In that power is my freedom. Let no man or circumstance steal that freedom from you. Action 7. Cultivate the calmness of inner neutrality. To achieve greatness, a man must become like a mountain unmoved by the storms that rage about it. This calmness is not passivity. It is power contained. It is the ability to stand still when the crowd panics, to think clearly when others lose their minds, to advance steadily when others scatter in fear. Neutrality does not mean indifference. It means balance. It means the ability to weigh every matter without the bias of anger, pride, or despair. It means the ability to hear criticism without crumbling, to hear praise without swelling, to face loss without breaking, and to face victory without arrogance. This principle of neutrality grants the greatest advantage in life, for it preserves clarity of thought. The man who is calm sees opportunity where the restless see only chaos. He hears truth where the agitated hear only noise. He chooses wisely while others choose hastily. Think of water. When disturbed, it distorts every image. When calm, it reflects with perfect clarity. So it is with the mind. The calm mind reflects truth. The disturbed mind distorts it. Therefore, discipline yourself to return to calmness again and again until neutrality becomes your natural state. For he who can remain calm under pressure is already a commander of men and master of fate. Action 8. Discipline the environment of your mind. A man is not only the product of his thoughts, he is also the product of the thoughts he permits into his environment. Just as a seed cannot grow in poisoned soil, your purpose cannot flourish in a poisoned environment. If you surround yourself with chaos, gossip, frivolity, and weakness, do not be surprised if chaos, gossip, frivolity, and weakness begin to seep into your own conduct. Guard your environment with vigilance. Limit exposure to voices that drain your energy, to words that corrode your focus, to company that distracts you from your mission. Invite instead the presence of books that sharpen your reason, men whose example strengthens your will, and silence that allows you to hear the commands of your own inner genius. Do not deceive yourself by believing you are immune to influence. No man is. Influence is subtle, invisible, yet more powerful than force. One weak companion can derail 10 years of discipline. One habit of idle distraction can sabotage an empire of productivity. Therefore, let your environment become a temple. Only that which strengthens belongs inside. All else must remain outside the gates. Action 9. Wage war against excuses. Excuses are the language of the defeated. They are the opium of mediocrity, the invisible chains that men gladly wear to justify their own inaction. Every excuse, however noble it sounds, is nothing but an admission that you have allowed something outside of you to dictate the limits of your progress. Hear me clearly. There is no excuse that can withstand the judgment of destiny. The man who excuses himself from discipline will be excused by life from greatness. The man who excuses himself from courage will be excused by life from achievement. The man who excuses himself from self-mastery will be excused by life from freedom. Therefore, make war against every excuse the moment it arises. When your mind whispers, "I am too tired," respond with, "My purpose demands it." When it whispers, "I will do it tomorrow," respond with, "My destiny is too valuable to delay." When it whispers, "I cannot," respond with, "I must, therefore I will." Understand this. Excuses multiply in the shadows of passivity, but they wither under the light of decisive action. Crush the first excuse, and you will weaken the entire army. Action 10. Direct desire with the harness of will. Desire is fire. Left uncontrolled, it burns recklessly, consuming energy, consuming peace, consuming time. But harnessed, it becomes the very fuel of greatness. Desire, when directed by purpose and disciplined by will, becomes ambition, an unstoppable force that carves reality into the image of vision. Most men are slaves to their desires. They pursue whatever spark happens to ignite them pleasure today, comfort tomorrow, distraction the next. And so their fire burns everywhere but achieves nothing. The wise man gathers his desire, like sunlight focused through a lens, into one burning beam, aimed at his definite purpose. Do not kill your desires, govern them. Do not suppress them, channel them. For a man without desire is lifeless, but a man with uncontrolled desire is dangerous to himself. The sovereign man disciplines his cravings until they serve rather than sabotage his destiny. Remember, power comes not from the existence of fire, but from its direction. Action 11. Embrace the pain of discipline over the pain of regret. Two kinds of pain await every man: the pain of discipline and the pain of regret. Discipline is sharp, but temporary. Regret is dull, but eternal. Discipline demands sacrifice in the moment. Regret demands the forfeiture of an entire future. The man who chooses discipline may suffer now, but he will rejoice later. The man who avoids discipline rejoices now, but he will suffer later. This is an unbreakable law of existence. Every indulgence carries the seed of sorrow. Every discipline carries the seed of freedom. Therefore, train your mind to welcome the sting of discipline. Rise early, even when tired. Say no to indulgence, even when tempted. Focus on the task, even when bored. For every moment of discipline is an investment that multiplies across time. And every indulgence is a theft from your own future self. Say to yourself, better I suffer now for my greatness than suffer forever for my weakness. Action 12. Seize power through personal initiative. Success bows only to the man who takes initiative. Waiting has never built an empire. Hoping has never constructed a bridge. Wishing has never written a book, created a fortune, or changed a world. The universe responds not to idle dreamers, but to men of decisive action. Personal initiative is the refusal to wait for permission, the refusal to wait for ideal conditions, the refusal to wait for encouragement. It is the habit of saying, if it must be done, I will begin it now. It is the willingness to move forward even when the path is unclear, trusting that clarity will come to those in motion. Understand, the man who waits for perfect conditions will wait forever. The man who begins, however imperfectly, will discover along the way that conditions shape themselves around action. Life itself steps aside for the man who dares to move. Therefore, engrave this law upon your will. Hesitation is the assassin of opportunity. Initiative is the birthplace of destiny. Action 13. Build the armor of self. Reliance. The best version of yourself cannot be built on dependency. The man who leans constantly on the approval, support, or direction of others forfeits his power. He becomes like a soldier who relies on another to carry his weapon into battle. When the moment of trial arrives, he is defenseless. Self-reliance is not isolation, it is independence of spirit. It is the confidence that you can think for yourself, act for yourself, and stand by yourself when the crowd deserts you. It is the unshakable inner voice that says, though the world withhold its applause, I will still advance. Though no one stands beside me, I will still hold the line. Though no hand comes to lift me, I will lift myself. Cultivate this independence daily. Learn to solve your own problems before asking for aid. Build skills that make you valuable regardless of circumstance. Guard your judgment from the contagion of popular opinion. Become so strong in mind and will that even if stripped of all possessions, you would still possess the greatest wealth, a self-sufficient spirit. For only he who needs nothing from others is truly free among men. Action 14. Rule the kingdom of your time. Time is life measured in motion. To squander time is to squander life. Every moment that passes unused, undirected, undisciplined is a brick stolen from the palace of your destiny. Men plead for more years, yet waste the hours they already possess. They beg for opportunity, yet kill the very resource from which opportunity is born. To become the best version of yourself, you must treat time as a sacred currency. Guard it with the vigilance of a king protecting his treasure. Spend it only where it yields compound returns on learning, on building, on advancing your purpose. Refuse to waste it on idle gossip, trivial pursuits, and the endless cycle of distractions. Remember, no man can control the length of his life, but every man can control its width and depth. 1 hour of disciplined purpose is worth more than a lifetime of drift. Therefore, declare mastery over your time. Create structure. Place each moment under the command of your purpose, for he who rules his hours will soon rule his world. Action 15. Govern the mind with the law of substitution. The mind cannot think of nothing. When you attempt to banish a thought by force, it returns with greater strength. The secret, therefore, is not suppression but substitution. Replace the thought of weakness with the thought of power. Replace the image of failure with the image of triumph. Replace the voice of doubt with the voice of faith. Every habit, every attitude, every state of mind can be transformed by the law of substitution. The drunkard who replaces the thought of drink with the thought of health begins the road to recovery. The timid man who replaces the thought of fear with the thought of courage begins the road to power. The distracted man who replaces the thought of pleasure with the thought of purpose begins the road to greatness. You cannot stop thoughts from arising, but you can choose which ones to dwell upon, and that choice determines the architecture of your destiny. Therefore, seize every unworthy thought and substitute it at once. Train your mind until the act of substitution becomes automatic and your inner world will become a fortress of strength. Action 16. Convert adversity into advantage. Life does not spare the great man from hardship, it sends him more of it. Why? Because adversity is the crucible in which strength is forged. The weak curse adversity, the strong convert it. The weak see obstacles, the strong see raw material for victory. Understand this. Every setback conceals within it a seed of equal or greater benefit, but only the disciplined mind can see it. The loss of a job may become the spark of independence. The betrayal of a friend may become the lesson that sharpens judgment. The collapse of fortune may become the rebirth of vision. Adversity is not your enemy, it is your instructor. It will strip you of comfort, but it will gift you wisdom. It will test your patience, but it will refine your will. It will delay your progress, but it will deepen your character. Do not resist it, convert it. For the man who masters adversity becomes untouchable, and the man who is untouchable becomes unstoppable. Action 17. Master the art of deliberate silence. The most powerful voices in history have belonged to men who first mastered silence. Silence is not emptiness. It is energy conserved, wisdom distilled, and power withheld until the perfect moment. The weak man speaks to be heard. The wise man speaks to influence. The weak man reveals his emotions at once. The wise man holds them until they are tools of strategy. The weak man argues endlessly. The wise man listens, weighs, and then delivers a word that shifts the entire field. Deliberate silence grants three powers: the power to observe, the power to reflect, and the power to command. When you are silent, you see what others miss. When you are silent, you gain time to select your response instead of reacting blindly. When you are silent, your words, when finally spoken, carry the weight of thunder. Therefore, train yourself in this art. Speak less, mean more, reveal less, influence more. Guard your silence as a weapon and use your words as a sword. Action 18. Burn the bridges behind you. The man who leaves open the path of retreat will one day retreat. The man who burns his bridges commits fully to advance. History is filled with leaders who ordered the destruction of their ships upon arrival in enemy lands, so that the only choice left was victory or death. And it is always that desperate commitment that births triumph. If you would become the best version of yourself, you must adopt this principle. Abandon the soft escape routes, destroy the excuses, eliminate the half-hearted alternatives. Leave no refuge for weakness to return to. Make success not merely an option, but the only option. When you burn the bridges of retreat, your mind discovers new reservoirs of strength. When you declare, "I will not turn back," every fiber of your being aligns with forward motion. And when all of you is committed, the universe itself conspires to clear the path. Action 19. Build the habit of continuous learning. The man who ceases to learn has already begun to decay. The world belongs not to those who are content with yesterday's knowledge, but to those who hunger for today's truth and tomorrow's discovery. Learning is not confined to books. It is the discipline of drawing lessons from every encounter, every failure, every triumph, every observation. It is the humility to admit ignorance and the courage to correct it. It is the refusal to stagnate in what is known and the determination to expand the borders of the mind. To stop learning is to stop growing. To stop growing is to stop living. Therefore, become a student of life until your final breath. Let every day feed your mind with ideas, as food feeds your body with strength. The sharper the mind, the stronger the will. And the stronger the will, the greater the destiny. Action 20. Discipline the emotions of envy and comparison. No poison corrodes the soul more subtly than envy. To compare your path with the path of another is to commit treason against your own purpose. The man who envies wastes his focus on what cannot serve him. He becomes blind to his own resources, blind to his own opportunities, blind to his own destiny. Understand, you are not meant to live another man's life. You are meant to live your own with such excellence that envy cannot survive within you. Discipline yourself to transmute envy into admiration, comparison into inspiration. When you see greatness in another, let it be proof of what is possible, not a reminder of what you lack. Your race is yours alone. Your mission is yours alone. And the man who runs his own race with discipline and detachment will always reach a finish line worth crossing. Action 21. Build unbreakable faith in yourself. The greatest victories in history were first won in the unseen chambers of faith. Faith is not blind belief. It is disciplined certainty that your vision will be realized if you obey the laws of its fulfillment. It is the refusal to doubt when appearances suggest failure. It is the inner command that says, though the path is unclear, I will walk it. Though the world denies me, I will create my own world. Without faith, discipline decays into despair. With faith, discipline becomes unstoppable. Therefore, cultivate faith until it is the constant atmosphere of your mind. Repeat it through autosuggestion. Strengthen it through small victories. Anchor it in your definiteness of purpose. Say to yourself, I was born to achieve. I was born to master myself. I was born to leave a mark upon eternity. Hold that faith, and it will hold you when all else crumbles. Action 22. Live by the standard of inner integrity. No man can become the best version of himself while betraying his own conscience. To live by integrity is to align thought, word, and deed with your highest values, even when no eye watches, even when no applause follows. The man of integrity cannot be bribed by comfort, cannot be shaken by fear, cannot be purchased by praise. He does what is right because it is right. And in doing so, he builds a foundation of inner peace that no storm can disturb. Understand this. Riches gained without integrity become chains. Success achieved without integrity becomes poison. But integrity itself is wealth, and from it flows every other form of lasting success. Therefore, make your integrity non-negotiable. Guard it as you would guard your life, for in truth it is your life. Action 23. Crown yourself with the discipline of daily action. At last we arrive at the crown of all principles, daily action. For all purpose, all faith, all detachment, all discipline are useless without the habit of consistent execution. Dreams are born in the mind, but they are built by the hands, brick by brick, day by day. Do not wait for inspiration. Do not wait for energy. Do not wait for perfect clarity. Act daily, and clarity, energy, and inspiration will follow. Success is not an explosion. It is the accumulation of small, disciplined steps repeated without fail. Therefore, crown your journey with the discipline of action. Write your purpose each morning. Advance it each day. Review it each night. Let no day pass without movement, however small, toward your destiny. For time is the raw material, discipline is the forge, and daily action is the hammer that shapes the best version of yourself. And so, the 23 actions stand complete, each one a law, each one a command, each one a demand upon the man who dares to rise above mediocrity and seize sovereignty over himself. Now, the choice stands before you. Will you drift with emotion, excuse, and reaction as the masses do? Or will you take these 23 actions, burn them into your mind, and live them until your very being is transformed into power itself? The world does not wait. Time does not pause. Destiny does not knock twice. Master your inner world now, and the outer world will kneel before you. The 23 actions stand not as mere suggestions, but as commands written into the very laws of success. They are not negotiable, for life itself enforces them with ruthless consistency. You obey them and you rise. You neglect them and you fall. There is no middle ground, no mercy, no exemption. And this is the glory of existence, that destiny is not given, but chosen, and you choose it each moment by the mastery or neglect of your inner world. Understand me clearly. The man who masters detachment is beyond insult. The man who disciplines thought is beyond manipulation. The man who governs desire is beyond corruption. The man who acts daily, faithfully, relentlessly is beyond defeat. Such a man becomes more than a participant in life, he becomes its commander. He no longer drifts upon the current, he bends the current. He no longer fears the storm, he sails it as his chariot. He no longer begs for opportunity, he creates it by the sheer force of his will. Do not imagine this transformation to be reserved for the rare few of history. It is reserved for the rare few who decide. Decide now. Decide that you will not live another day as a servant to moods, opinions, and circumstance. Decide that you will take these actions and engrave them upon your mind until they become your second nature. Decide that you will become that rare figure who, when he enters a room, brings with him the weight of discipline, the calmness of detachment, and the unshakable aura of command. For hear this truth: the world bows not to those who complain, nor to those who drift, nor to those who wait. It bows only to those who master themselves. And if you master yourself, the world cannot resist you, cannot ignore you, cannot deny you. The crown of destiny belongs to the sovereign of his inner kingdom. So rise, rise above excuse, rise above fear, rise above doubt. Rise until you stand as the highest and strongest version of yourself. And when the world beholds you, let it not merely see a man, they must see the embodiment of willpower, the incarnation of discipline, the living demonstration of what humanity was designed to be when it dares to master itself. And when they ask, how did you achieve such strength? Let your life thunder forth the answer. I mastered my emotions. I built my discipline. I ruled my inner world. I lived by 23 actions, and by them I forged myself into destiny itself. Now go crowned in fire, cloaked in discipline, armed with clarity, ablaze with purpose. For the world is waiting, and the best version of yourself must no longer wait another day to appear. Do not mistake these words for poetry alone. They are command, they are decree. For too long, men have bowed before their emotions as if before kings. They have worshipped fear, they have obeyed anger, they have pleaded with doubt, and in doing so, they have traded their crowns for chains. But you were not born for chains. You were born to command. You were born to rise. You were born to govern yourself, and by governing yourself, to govern your world. You have been handed 23 actions, keys, weapons, laws. They are not ornaments. They are instruments of conquest. They are the fire with which you burn the weakness from your soul. They are the hammer with which you forge the steel of your character. They are the chisel with which you carve your destiny from the stone of resistance. If you leave them unused, they will condemn you. If you wield them, they will crown you. There will come nights when the world presses upon you like a great weight, when fatigue whispers surrender, when fear claws at your resolve. It is in those nights that the true man is revealed. Remember then, emotional detachment is your shield, discipline is your sword, faith is your light, and purpose is your crown. Stand tall, even in darkness, and the dawn will find you unbroken. And there will come days when temptation smiles sweetly, when comfort offers you its soft bed, when distraction calls you with 1,000 voices. Most men will yield, most men will fall. But you, if you are true to this law, will answer with steel in your voice, not today, not ever. I am a man of destiny, and destiny demands more than ease. And you will advance while others sleep, you will labor while others waste, you will discipline yourself while others indulge, and in time you will hold in your hand what others will only envy from afar. Think of the power that awaits you, to be untouchable by insult, unmoved by failure, unshaken by praise. To walk through this world with the calmness of a mountain, the clarity of a mirror, the fire of a forge, and the certainty of a commander. To know, not merely hope, that whatever storm may strike, you will endure it, and not only endure, but convert it into triumph. This is not fantasy. This is the inevitable consequence of mastering the 23 actions. And so I say to you now, no more delay, no more drift, no more waiting for permission. This is the hour to rise. Rise from mediocrity. Rise from self-doubt. Rise from the ashes of wasted years and declare that from this moment forward you will live as sovereign over yourself. Every thought will serve you. Every emotion will obey you. Every action will advance you. And nothing, no man, no fear, no failure will ever again hold dominion over you. Go forth then, not as one who seeks approval, but as one who creates it. Not as one who begs for opportunity, but as one who commands it. Not as one who reacts, but as one who responds with the calmness of power and the precision of discipline. Let the world see in you what few men ever become, the best version of yourself, alive, awake, unstoppable. And when the history of your life is written, let it not read that you drifted, that you surrendered, that you waited. Let it read that you mastered yourself, and by mastering yourself, you mastered destiny. For the crown belongs not to the dreamer, nor to the doubter, nor to the drifter. It belongs to the disciplined. It belongs to the detached. It belongs to the man who commands his inner world with iron will and unyielding faith. And that man, if you so choose, is you. Now rise, rise and take it. Rise, I say rise, for the hour of drifting has ended. Rise, for weakness has no throne here. Rise, for mediocrity must no longer be your companion. You have carried within you the seed of greatness from the beginning, but that seed requires fire, discipline, detachment, and the daily hammering of action to break through the soil of fear and stand as a tree that cannot be shaken by any storm. Let this be the day you cast off the chains of reaction. No longer shall you be the puppet of insult, the servant of moods, the slave of circumstance. The winds may blow, the waves may rise, the world may mock, but you, anchored in discipline and crowned in detachment, will not be moved. You will not bow to fear. You will not collapse under failure. You will not surrender to doubt, for you have discovered the truth. The mind that governs itself governs all. Do not plead for an easier life. Do not beg for lighter burdens. Demand instead that your shoulders grow stronger, that your will grow sharper, that your heart grow steadier. For destiny does not bend to weakness, it bends only to strength. And strength is not given, it is built. Built through these 23 actions, hammered into place through daily discipline, sealed by the fire of decision. And hear me well. The man who takes these actions is not merely improved, he is reborn. He becomes something new, something dangerous to mediocrity, something immortal to time. His presence commands respect. His silence radiates authority. His words carry weight. And his life becomes proof that greatness is not reserved for a chosen few, but for the chosen within the one who chooses himself. Picture this. You, standing at the summit of your own destiny, the road behind you littered with the ruins of excuses, the ashes of fears, the broken chains of old weaknesses, and before you stretches a horizon of limitless possibility. For the man who has mastered himself has mastered the only enemy that ever truly existed. When that day comes, and it will, if you begin now, you will look back upon this moment as the turning point, the hour when you stopped drifting, the hour when you took command, the hour when you rose and declared, I am no longer at the mercy of the world. I am the master of my mind, and by mastering my mind, I have mastered my life. So take these 23 actions and live them until your very breath carries their spirit. Let every step resound with purpose. Let every thought shine with clarity. Let every choice strike with precision. And let every day carve you closer to the best version of yourself. Do not wait. Do not falter. Do not turn back. For the crown of destiny is waiting, and it will not wait forever. Others will reach for it. Others will fight for it. But it belongs to the one who dares to seize it with discipline, who guards it with detachment, who sustains it with daily action. Be that one, become that one, live as that one. And when the world beholds you, let them know they are not witnessing chance, nor fortune, nor accident. They are witnessing a man forged by choice, disciplined by law, guided by purpose, and crowned by destiny. Rise, therefore. Rise now. Rise and never fall again.